Shut up. I know you lying. Wait, what? Say what now? Ain't no way. It's just like you did what he was supposed to say.
You sure, sir?
My face.
I know you saw.
Yes, honey. It was fine. Oh, you did that.
What's happening, good people? It's your girl, Ms.Kecia, with a little chat and chew on this little Thursday night. So, my people, let me start out with a little disclaimer. As always, all ideas, thoughts, and opinions that are expressed on my show are those of myself and my guests. That's our disclaimer. So if you don't like it, it's okay. We still love you anyway. You heard me? So I hope everybody's doing okay on this Thursday. We got one more day to Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Y'all better get pumped. You know what I'm saying? So tonight, we're going to continue on our road talking about this spectacular woman. The woman. So tonight's episode, I have a phenomenal woman here. She is an author. She is a mother. She is a crafter. She's a creator. She's a lot of things under the sun, like most women. And we're just going to give her flowers while we can. You know what I'm saying? So tonight we're going to take a little different turn. We're going to get more personal tonight. We might hit some places that may be familiar to a lot of you. So you can see how it is that, you know, my guest made it through. And to top it off, she got something that will help you make it through as well. So tonight, you know, we had, not tonight, but previously, you know, we started out with Doc. You know, Doc had a phenomenal story all the way going up to, you know, getting her PhD, getting her business, pouring into her community, pouring into young entrepreneurs. Then we went on to talk to Dr. Bond, who in her travels and on her Damascus Road, she went through adoption. She went through, you know, moving places that she was the minority, how she dealt with that, and which led up to her PhD, the challenges that she had, the challenges that she went through as an African-American woman, as a single woman going through adoption as well. So now we're here. And we're going to take this down to a personal level, something that you and I can understand and take away from on how we can deal with these things, because Kamesha is one of my greatest friends. I was just telling her a minute ago, like, dang, we only known each other a few months. I feel like I know you forever, girl. But she is definitely a part of my circle, and I appreciate all the love and support that she has given me. So it is really my pleasure to have her here on my show to talk to my fabulous audience as we celebrate the ladies as of March being Women's History Month. So, without further ado, welcome, Kamesha.
Thank you, Keisha.
That's my girl.
Yes.
So, Kamesha, you know, like I told you, this is just like a candid conversation. You know, I didn't bring no papers because I want you to see that. You know, I just let the conversation flow. You know, sometimes I'll have questions, you know, in the event that, you know, the guest gets a little, but I haven't had that issue. Everybody I done had in here, like, look, we go for it. Yeah. And it always goes in a positive direction. As you know, seeing some of the other shows, it always goes in a positive direction. Right. So first off, tell us a little about you. Tell the people.
So, like Miss Keisha said, I'm every woman.
That's good. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Okay, go back. Okay.
Anything?
Regroup.
You want done, baby.
I do it naturally. Oh, I had to throw that in.
So yes, like she said, I am a woman. I'm a woman first, right? And I am a mother. I am a man mom. I'm a mother of 3 men.
Baby.
3
Black men.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I am a life coach. I've been coaching for over 10 years.
Awesome.
I am a creator. I'm very passionate about relationships and helping women, especially women who feel like they've lost themselves, whether they've lost themselves in careers and relationships, in church or religion, any type of, being a parent, have lost themselves. I like to help people discover who they are, reclaim themselves.
That's good.
And that's what I'm passionate about. I like art. I like spending time with family. I love traveling. And I like to be around good people.
And we love Taco Tuesday.
Yes.
Taco Tuesday.
We hit it right off because I like good people.
So let's talk about this.
What do you want to talk about?
Have you been married?
I have.
And how did the life coach handle that?
So marriage was interesting. So
isn't it always?
Yeah. So I was married for 18 years. Well, actually 20. I separated after 18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Jesus.
18 years. I got married young and quick. I had met him. We were married in 10 and a half months. And I definitely learned a lot being a wife. I'm grateful for the union, but I had to leave when when the choice had to be loving me or loving you.
That's good. And that is first, let me say, let me go back to something you said in your introduction. You said that you love to be a life coach, that you've been a life coach for 10 years, and you specialize in relationships and women and different things that women go through, because we as women lose ourselves a lot of times.
Absolutely.
And that's important to point out, because it is so very true, because we as women are nurturers. So anything that we put our time and energy in, a lot of times we put so much of ourselves that we lose ourselves, and we don't realize it until we are almost 100% depleted.
Right.
So I can definitely, now that is a commendable thing to say, I've been in this marriage for 18 years, but now I feel like I'm losing myself. So what we going to do? So how did that play itself out when you took, that concern to your ex-husband?
So it took me a while to leave. Like, it wasn't like a realization. I grew up, both of my parents were addicted to drugs, and my father was very abusive. He was emotionally, verbally, and physically abusive.
Okay.
And so those types of abuses, emotional abuse was normal for me. It was comfortable for me. And so it wasn't until I dealt, I was a wife and I just wanted to be that Proverbs 31 wife, right?
Gotcha.
I wanted to be and I'm a Virgo, so it's all all about perfection, right? Yeah. So I wanted to be so perfect in doing it. So I worked hard, but then I was run down to the ground.
Right.
I had went through
Completely
a deep depression.
Yeah,
deep depression. And so then I just was like, I have to figure something out, because what my motivation at the time was my kids. I was like, my kids need me.
Right.
So I came up out of that depression, and that's when I realized I was giving so much. I had no boundaries, none. Whatever you asked, I did. He and I led the marriage ministry at our church for some time. So we'd be at couples' houses in the middle of the night because they're arguing and helping them prepare for marriage. It was so much. And
didn't realize that y'all was giving so much of yourselves and y'all marriage to other people.
That part.
That it was breaking down at home.
That part.
And it happens.
Right? Because sometimes it's easier to try to fix other people
than it is to fix yourself.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
And so then after that, I just started going to God, and I'm like, what is this? I'm not happy. Like, what is wrong? And then that's when God revealed to me self-love. And I lied to you not. I was so disconnected from self-love. I literally had to go to Google and type, how do you love yourself?
Oh, wow.
Literally, I didn't have examples of self-love.
That's why I was just getting ready to ask. So you told us about your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
But being in the church, there wasn't like mentor or?
So the church we went to was a very majority young church. So even though we were in our 30s at the time, we were like the elders. The pastor was older, but a lot of the kids were like in their 20s and 25. So we were the mentors. We were the only people in our congregation to own a home. A lot of the young people in the church lived together. They shared, and we were given everything to the church, like everything. And it was great to see it was inspiring to see so many young people on fire for God.
Right.
But it also, like you said, it was no one to pour in
to y'all to replenish everything that y'all was pouring in.
Yeah, and that church was cultish, so it was big about separating and just us. So it didn't even encourage us to step outside of the ministry to get it from other places.
Got you. Wow. So yeah. So when you got to that realization, like, how did it play out? Like, what did you do? Where was the point where you said, I can do this. I have to do this for myself.
So, and interestingly enough, right, like we talked about all of the things that I am, and one of them is an author. And so a lot of that is in my book, Happiness in Spite of. And
Happiness in Spite of. Where can we get this, Kamesha?
You can get it on my website at KameshaTarell.com. You can get it on Amazon, or if you are local, you can get it from Urban Reads Bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland on Greenmount Avenue.
And we will have this information on my page, on my Google. Listen at me, Google. on my YouTube. So make sure you get it and you buy it. Happiness in Spite of, because trust me, there is happiness in spite of whatever it is you're going through. Trust and believe.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now that we've had that commercial break.
So I mentioned that because the book is about what I created called the Breathe Method.
Okay.
And the reason it's called the Breathe Method is because literally that was all that I could do. When I was in my deepest depression, I would go to work because bills had to be paid. Right. I would come home, I would lay on the couch. I could do nothing else. My brain was in such a fog. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't create a grocery list. Like, my brain was literally in that much of a fog. And it was devastating because I used to wait tables, and I was the waitress that could remember no mustard, no ketchup, extra pickle, whatever it was, I could remember. And my memory was shot because I was so depressed. And so all I could do was breathe. And then the next thing that I worked on was boundaries. So the breathe is an acronym.
Yes.
So the B is for boundaries.
Okay.
And I started to learn that I could say no, because oftentimes children of addicts become very codependent and we become enablers, right?
Okay.
And we become fixers. And so no is really hard. And I didn't see much of no. And with my father being abusive and controlling, I wasn't even allowed to say no.
Right.
So no was new for me.
Right.
But then when people aren't used to hearing no, when you start saying no, you start getting a bunch of pushback, right? And then
they're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting funny? And why? Because when you are doing the same things over and over and people rely on you to keep giving them, not so much something tangible, but you're giving them what they need to keep going, not realizing that you're depleting yourself because I'm giving so much of me to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I started with boundaries. And then after that, the R is for respect. I had to learn to respect myself, because no one was going to respect me until I respected myself.
That
right?
Is right.
I believe that we teach people how to treat us about what we tolerate.
You're absolutely right.
And so it's like respect and self-love. And I had to learn how to love myself. And a big part of that was affirmations, because my mind and my subconscious have been programmed to all of this negativity. Part of the abuse I experienced as a child was my father called me dumb and stupid. You're dumb. You're stupid. He made me clean the house and tell me I was going to be nothing more than a janitor. So hearing those things constantly,
it creates that in your mind.
Absolutely.
That's who you are.
So, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was always self-sabotaging. I was always, I had very little standards. So affirmations was a big part of that. Journaling was a big part of that. Forgiving was a big part of that. And then the second, the E in breathe is for examination.
Okay.
So then I had to take some time and I had to examine where have I been? Where am I now? And where do I want to go? So I had to create the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it can run with it, right?
So you had to, so when you say examine yourself and you had to say, okay, where have I been? How did you answer that question?
I answered that question by looking at everything that got me to this point. My childhood, I went into therapy. So that was a big part of being able to understand how I got how I was. Like, even one of the questions I had for God was, because a lot happened with that ministry. And I said, what would attract me to that? That I didn't even know. The church, yes.
Right.
So my intuition showed me that some things weren't right, but I still compromised, or I still kind of went in it because I had that need. I had that need for family and community, and whatever need we have is what makes us compromise. And that's what happened.
But at the time, you don't feel like it's a compromise. Right. Because like I've told you before, I had a similar experience. And at the time, you feel like this is what God wants me to do. I'm pleased, I'm doing my works are pleasing to the Lord. So this can't be bad. Even though in your heart you like, some ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Some ain't right. And it gotta be at least for me, it was a significant event that made me say, okay, I gotta back up from this. And it was a hard thing. I know for me, and Doc still mentors me on it. Like, I have a hard time going into churches, because I'm just paranoid. Right. Absolutely. Even though I know that every church is not like this one particular church. Every church is different. Every person goes to church for their own reasons, but it takes away something from you.
Absolutely.
It takes something away from you. You still have your relationship with God. Now I have to admit, Nala, for me, I was feeling some kind of way with him. Like,
absolutely.
Why me? You know what I'm saying? I got all this other stuff, and then you gonna put me in here in the lines then? What in the world? Like, you ain't got nobody else to pick on?
To pick on.
Yeah, I'm saying.
It feels like that.
It does. But once you go through that healing process, and like you said, you ask yourself those questions, where am I trying to go? How do I heal from this? First, you got to start with forgiveness, creating boundaries and all of that. And yeah, it was a challenge for me. Like I said, I still, when I worships from my bedroom like it ain't nothing.
Absolutely. Me too. I had a whole worship session on the way
here.
But
I don't, I'm still, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
But part of it is because, so I call it spiritual abuse.
That is perfect.
It's spiritual abuse, because we didn't go into those ministries for the purpose and what they used us for.
Right.
And so the same way that a woman has been molested or raped is going to be fearful when she's around
the same
sex
thing.
that raped her, whether it's a man or woman.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
You're absolutely right.
So you're having
it's still a trauma.
There you go.
It's still a trauma, and it's unfortunate that, just sidebar. It's unfortunate that some people want, how the kids say, clout, or they want to be popular, or, they don't want because who am I to say that God didn't call these people?
There you go.
Because I wasn't there. But why not use your gift versus popularity? Because that's all it is. It's popularity. And you don't realize the people that are there with their hearts. And the people that you hurt because they don't want to be a part of all of that. Right. So then you shun them, you treat them different, all of this other stuff. That's hurtful. And they don't, nobody takes accountability for it. And like me and Doc, we talked about it offline, and she told me something that was powerful, and I really had to sit back and examine myself. And that's probably why the leprechaun grabbed my foot last week. But really, for real though, is because Doc told me that, because I told her, I said, Kecia, she said to me, you haven't forgiven them, Kecia. And I said, I work on it every day, Doc. She said, no, you're still holding it because it still makes you angry. At that time, like, I would get fired up when I was talking about it. And she was like, it still makes you angry when you're talking about it. So you haven't forgiven them. And so since you haven't forgiven them, because it's not hurting them,
Right.
what you're dealing with. It's hurting you.
Right.
And your relationship with God. And God cannot fully bless you because you're walking around with unforgiveness in your heart for somebody who ain't thinking about you
Right.
at all.
Yeah. Forgiveness is always about for us. It's never
And
for the other people.
I really thought that, like, because I had to tell people, when I think about it, I just have to ask for forgiveness. But like Doc said, you gotta, when you really forgive somebody, you let it all go.
But I believe it's levels to forgiveness.
Girl, it's got to be.
It's levels. And so you may be at the level of forgiveness that you're at. And then as you continue to grow, now you have this new awareness. And then you'll go to the next level of forgiveness. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you don't think about it. It doesn't make you angry and all of those things. But it's levels.
But how did that work for you?
It's interesting that you asked that, because honestly, after the E, the A is acceptance.
Oh.
And so acceptance was one of the hardest steps for me, because I had to accept everything that happened. Yeah. And it's hard to accept stuff we didn't want to happen.
Or we didn't have any control over.
Yes. And it was hard. It was hard because after I examined everything, right, then I had to accept what I saw.
Right.
And so then I went in and I just started accepting, like, you know what, this happened. The part that I played when I failed to listen to my intuition, when I blinded myself to the things that God had shown me, mm-hmm. I had to accept my part, mm-hmm. and I had to accept their part. Right. I had to tell myself, you didn't deserve that.
Right.
You did not.
That's good.
You weren't wrong. They were wrong.
Right.
And it's okay to say that somebody else is wrong.
Right. Doc told me that too as well. Yeah. She told me that.
So that's how I got through it.
That's just a confirmation, because she told me that exact same thing.
Yeah, I had to accept everything that happened, and like, okay, everything. And my marriage, what I allowed in my marriage, mm-hmm. what we were dealing with, all that I overgave, I had to accept where I was, because the woman I was not the woman I wanted to be.
Nor the woman that you was destined to be.
That part.
And that's why it didn't feel right.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of us, we do. When we love somebody or we care, we just keep giving, even though we know we should be treated better, or mm-hmm. we shouldn't accept it, especially this whole, well, that's just how I am. Mm-hmm. But I just love him or her. And so I'm just going to keep giving. I'm going to keep loving. And maybe, no, it's got to be a point where somebody, you're going to say, okay, well, I understand. I respect that. Mm-hmm. I respect that's who you are, but this is who I am. And this is what I can only accept for me.
There you go. And we call it giving and loving, and we wrap it up in these pretty bows.
But it's
really
not.
What it is self-sacrifice.
It's abuse.
I am sacrificing myself so that
you can be happy. Mm-hmm.
We're like, God ain't tell us to do. Jesus already sacrificed.
His whole life.
We don't have to do that. It was already done on the cross.
But I just feel like it's something innate in women that we just do it because we want to, we're just nurturers. How many women, I don't care if they on drugs or, mm-hmm. We just give so much.
I believe that, but I also believe that it's a learned behavior. We see so many women giving, and so then we think that that's what we're supposed to do. And the other thing that we do as women is we get and give accolades for doing that. You so nice.
Oh thank you so much. You didn't have
so much. Mm-hmm. Oh, let me tell you, when we big up another woman, we normally get big up her accomplishments. Mm-hmm. The things that she's done for you. And so that keeps it going. It keeps it going like, oh, it's so nice that you helped your aunt when you were tired.
Yeah.
No, that was a lack of boundaries.
Yeah, that's what you right. You absolutely
it's
right.
okay to say, no, I'm tired.
You're right.
But that's what you took care of your parents. That was so,
mm-hmm.
well, maybe you didn't have it in you to do that at the moment.
Right.
But that's what we and it keeps the cycle going. It keeps the cycle going.
Man,
because you're shunned. We're shunned if we don't. When we say no, what happens?
Yeah, it's like,
people
what's wrong
upset,
with you?
people
Why you can't do
frustrated.
this? You do it any other time. Blue, blue, whoop, whoop, whoop.
I remember.
Joker, I'm tired. That's why.
Right.
Because I said no.
I remember my mother was transitioning in cancer, very sick, and I had given up my life basically to take care of her. I worked, and she was at a hospital across the street from me. And I would get up in the morning, I'd go feed her. I'd go to work. At lunch, I'd go feed her. And feed her literally meant make her drink her Ensure because she couldn't eat. Go back at lunch, feed her. Go back after dinner, make sure she drank some Ensure, gave her a bath. Then I'd go home, care for my family. I would cook on Sundays so that I knew that they were taken care of. I did all of my chores. And then my sister, because she had small kids, so she couldn't do during the week, she would do the weekend so I could take care of the house. But my mother still struggled with her addiction while she was sick with cancer. She would not go to chemo appointments and everything so that she could be on get high binges. And I remember she had came back from a binge and she was sick. And she wanted to go to the hospital. And I was like, I can't take you to the hospital. I was like spending time with my kids. And I have a younger sister, Ashley, 10 years younger than me. And she's fiery. And she's going to tell you no quick.
Yes, ma'am. She is. You're right.
She's going to tell you no quick.
Ashley is going to tell you how she feels right away. So you don't even have time to even think about.
Yeah, I'm not doing it, right? And I used to always be envious or I would wonder why the expectation was so great on me. Right. And so I'd be like, well, nobody asked Ashley. Well, why they?
Girl, you sound like my daughter. Dante, nobody don't make Dante do nothing. I don't want why you gotta do it. Why you don't make Dante do that? And why I gotta take him with me? And now that they're grown, I'll be like, dang, I should have did that. I should have did that. I'm sorry.
But when it was in my family, so I didn't take her to the hospital. I was spending time, like I had already poured out so much, and she came back from a binge. And so some of that was the consequences of her decision. And it was hard for me to allow people to live in the consequences of their decisions. But I learned that I didn't have to save everybody.
Right.
And my grandmother called me and darn near cussed me out. You're not taking your mom. If she dies, it's on you. All of this stuff. And I get it because the love of a mother for their child.
I get it.
But see, I'm not the only one.
But you wasn't the mother neither.
And brothers.
But you wasn't the mother neither.
And she down south, so she couldn't. But she got sisters, she got brothers, she got another daughter, but you're not going to ask her because she's going to tell you no. So you're going to try to make me feel guilty so that I do it because historically in the past, that's what I would do.
That's what you would do.
Because I always felt guilt and always had shame.
Yeah.
I was always motivated by that. I thought it defined who I was. And so I think that's a big part of why
it is. It is, honey, because it is, baby, it is. Because I can tell you that I've had that epiphany that, okay, God damn it. I mean, excuse me. But I'm practicing Lent. Lord, forgive me. Okay. But I really had that problem. I didn't graduate from that. It was stages for me because I left for my kids and my kids was living their own lives. So then, and then my daughter, Lord knows I love my little stank butt, but she's spoiled. She's much more independent now than she was a couple of years ago. And she used to drive me crazy. I didn't know how to tell her no because she knew how to push my buttons.
Right.
And it's like, because that would get me to do whatever she wanted me to do. So if I tried to say no, she knew how to, okay.
Right.
And then I would eventually say yes, but then I'd be so toe up.
It's called manipulation.
Yeah. So I had to learn how to
manipulate you.
Yeah, I had to learn how to not be toe up, but it still show her love. But let her grow up on her own. Now my baby is, she great. She handle her own, she still be assing it now.
Right.
But but now I like to do stuff for her because she don't be bullying me into doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't mind doing stuff for her now. But I had to go through that phase because it was my daughter. Like my son so much. But it was really my daughter. My son, like, and she say that now to this day. She about to be 27, and she'll say, "I bet you if Dante asked you, you do." I'll be like, I tell him no too. She'll be like, "No, you don't. You do anything for Dante." I said, "I
It's something I've heard over and over. It's something about mothers and their sons.
Yeah,
So,
that's not topic, but
yes.
and we don't want my daughter to hear that.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, but you are right. That is, we think I don't call them generational curses. I call them generational foundations because the foundation can always be broken and then repaired. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, just for women, men, we all have to deal with those things that are, come down for our families, those traits that those norms, those values that we get. And then as women, especially working women who are not, at home taking care of the family or whatever, we're getting a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from there. And then it's like, whatever it is that you're dealing with, say like you're dealing with self-esteem. So yeah, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I want them to like me. So I'm going to keep doing. I don't want to be the outsider. I want them to like me, or I'm out here spending unnecessary money that I know I ain't got because I want to be cool. I want to be included, or I'm buying my kids this stuff so they can look popular, all of this, and get these, but that's something that we as women deal with. And that's why I think, our circles are important. And I learned that the smaller your circle, the better your circle. Absolutely. You don't need to have a whole bunch of friends, and growing up as an adult, I had to learn that. And that is something that I have shown my daughter too. Because I used to tell her all the time, you don't have to be popular. No, if I don't have this, I don't have that. Right. No, I got to have this, got to do this, got to get this weave, and got to do this, got to blah, blah, blah. No, you don't, baby. But now that she's older, girl, I will call my daughter, she just like tonight. She's sitting there watching TV, talking about, I got to go. I'll call you back. I'm trying to watch TV. She's comfortable in her own space now. And I believe that as long as us, the elders, we show that example, then it'll be less girls, young ladies growing up thinking they have to be what they see on that TV. Absolutely. Or they have to be what they see in the club, because when we was in the club, we was trying to keep up with everybody else in the club. And, so you don't have to, you can have your own identity and still be happy. Absolutely. Be happy in yourself. So I think that's a powerful thing that you said. And I'm pretty sure that, that's a part of your coaching, coaching young ladies or men too, just going through to put yourself first, do what makes you happy, So yeah, I think that's a great thing. And I love giving back and, loving on people, but I know when, now, you done text me one too many times tonight. I'm going to leave you on read. Yeah. So I feel like talking to you again.
No, you have to. It's all about knowing for our individual selves, right? And so it's interesting. I love how you've just been using words that are in my acronym.
That is so, see how we vibe? God put us together. It's so crazy how we ended up becoming friends. Right. Like that was God ordained.
Absolutely.
And it was in that house that God sent me here to.
Yes.
All of my close friends have been in that house. Since the friends that I've met since I've been here that are part of my circle, we have sat around in that house and shared. It's important to me.
Yes. But I love it. I love the synchronicity. But the other thing, even when we talk about some of the things you said, so after acceptance, the T is for trust and learning to trust God.
Yep.
So when you packed up and you moved here, when you left that ministry because you trusted God, and then learning to trust ourselves, because once for myself and other people, once you've went through something like that, it's hard to trust yourself. Once you've allowed abuse. Because then when you get on the other side, you start looking and saying, well, if I made that decision, how do I know the next decision I make is going to be a good decision? Right?
I wish I thought that way about relationships. Shit, I might be married. Okay.
Child.
I'm over it.
Yes, but learning, like, so that was the thing. When I got on the other side, I start remembering all the times my intuition, like, remember you saw that and that didn't seem right, and remember that didn't feel right. And that's when I learned to trust that, what I call an internal guidance system.
Yeah.
Trust it. God gave it to you to help you in this world. So I learned to trust that. Then I had to like when you said I was mad at God, I had to reconnect and learn to trust God again and learn, no, you did show me. I just didn't listen.
Yep.
But I had to go back through that because I felt like the victim. I felt like I was coming to love and serve you, and you let this happen to me. How could you let this happen to me?
Speak on it.
When I was trying to do the right thing. Right? So I had to learn to trust again. I had to learn to trust my calling because I was a marriage ministry leader and I was the church administrator and I was a minister-elect and all of that. So then when I left the ministry, it was like, well, who am I? Who am I without that building?
Yeah.
I didn't know who to be, right? And then after I learned to trust myself, it's so crazy because the next is for the word you kept saying over and over, heal. The H after the T is heal. And then after heal is esteem, which is the other word you just said, right? But what's interesting is I wrote the entire book except for heal. Because I always say I didn't write this book. This book came out of me. Like it'd be the middle of the night and words would just come to me and I would just get up and type them. I'd be sitting somewhere and words come to me and I just pull out my laptop and type them. But I was at heal. I knew it was breathe. I had everything else. And I was at heal and I could not, nothing came. And I'm like, this is crazy. Then my mom died.
And thrust she was into heal. Thrust. Push you over the edge.
And she was in remission. But she was still binging and smoking and, getting high. And then she started declining and it was like that. Like really? She went from remission. I mean, it was probably 3 weeks before remission and her transition date. Because I believe she just transitioned from an earthly form to a spiritual form.
That's absolutely right.
So I don't really say dead because to me that means final.
Yeah, just the body.
Yeah. And so she transitioned. And after that is when I was able to write because I believed that I needed a fresh healing. I had to learn. I had to be able to write from a fresh healing space. Yeah, I had left the church. At that point, it had been maybe 5 years or so, 6 years. So I had started the healing process, but I needed to be able to write from right here,
to put it all together.
Yeah. So that was like, and then esteem. I had to start learning. I was responsible for myself. Like, because we have these false esteems. Because see, I thought I had esteem, but I know that esteem wasn't real because when the church closed, I didn't know who I was.
Right.
So that meant my esteem and my value was in that ministry. But we have to have it to the point where it's our life.
Right.
And because of my childhood being taken away from me because of addiction and having to raise my little sister, I thought somebody owed me something. I was waiting to come save me. Even we had so many issues in our marriage because I thought he was going to be my knight in shining armor. What do you mean? All of those fairy tales that my mom read me when I was a little girl said that Prince Charming was going to come and he was going to save me. And that man came with his own set of issues. So then when he wasn't saving me and helping me and no, I had to work 3 jobs before you. Now I shouldn't have to work this hard and I shouldn't have to do this. Well, he got his own stuff. He didn't sign up to be my savior.
Right.
So I had to learn that. And then I had to slowly start. First, I had to realize I'm responsible for myself. Ain't nobody gonna save you, boo. And then I had to start just slowly building that esteem with finding out what do I like to do. I didn't know. I was the chick, you asked me, what you want to do? I don't know. What you want to eat? I don't know. What you want to eat? I want to eat what you want to eat. That's how I was. Coming to America, boo. Whatever kind of food you like. And it was a journey, but I'm grateful for it.
I can only imagine. I'm grateful. Look what was birthed out of that. It's a sermon. I don't even know who preaches this sermon, but I have it on CD. Okay. It's a really old CD. Yes. Yeah, it's really old. And she preaches about birthing your purpose, going through the 9 stages, the 9 months, and then you get to that labor. And I don't know about you, but I was in labor with my first child for 36 hours. Ooh. Yes, honey. Ooh. Okay. I was a warrior.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was a warrior. So, you go through all these stages in your life, which is like your 9 months. And then you go through that labor, which is the pinnacle in your life. Right. Because when we go through major significant emotional events like that, God doesn't expect us to do the same thing over again.
Right.
Right. You should have learned something. Okay? The next event should not be as significant as this last one. Right. So then you go through the birthing, and then you give birth to your purpose. Right. And I feel like this is your purpose, and who you are now. Because absolutely. If you would have never told me this story, I would never think the woman that I met that day coming to pick up those donations was that woman, or the woman that I talked to with such love in her voice it had that experience. Not to say that you couldn't, or
right. Absolutely.
But I would have I would have never said, oh yeah, Kamesha done been through it too. No. Like, even when you told me you had a similar experience, I would have never guessed that it was that deep. Deep, like so much a part of your marriage. And and I can only imagine having young men and being in a situation like that with your spouse. Like, that was a lot of onion peeling that you did when you left that situation. I can only imagine, especially with your young men, that you had to have peel back, because my kids went through something as well, and I feel like the enemy used my kids through that ministry to get to me. Yeah. And that, I'm thankful. I believe that what's in us, what's deep down in us, like when God created us, he created each one of us individually in his own image. Absolutely. So he put something special in every last one of us. Absolutely. So that something special was what got you through all of that, so that you could birth this. You was able to get in touch and to tap into that something special. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can just think about it. What if you wasn't able to get past it and not tap into it? Because a lot of people, they can't. Absolutely. When you see people, unfortunately, and I know it's a taboo, but when you see people commit suicide, depression, PTSD, they can't tap into that little thing. Right. Because they can't see past the anxiety, the depression, the loneliness, I'm not good enough. All it is surrounding them, is blocking them. They can't see it, so they have that tunnel vision, and they can't tap into that. And it ignites something that ends up in their demise. Absolutely. And so I'm just thankful that God saved you for me, girl.
Yeah. So we can go to Taco Tuesdays. But no, you're absolutely, I totally agree with you, like totally. And even I look back, and even in that, right, God was still preparing me. Because what I did with the marriage ministry is what birthed this love of coaching. Right. That was my first taste of coaching. And so that was like coaching people in their marriages, and doing premarital coaching, and helping them, and preparing retreats and workshops and teachings. So God was still using me and preparing me. I just didn't see it at the time. So then that just transferred right on over. And then I stepped in and became, after I went through my processes, became a coach. And then now, I work with the youth.
As
and
I was just getting ready to say.
Because
you wouldn't have been able to, if you would have never tapped into that, you would never be able to walk in your purpose and fulfill the assignment that God has for you. And part of your assignment is where you are now. Because you make a tremendous, on those kids. Like,
right. That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, take the deep breath, because my babies are some words.
But and for those of you who don't know, we didn't mention it, but Kamesha, tell the people what you do for a living.
So I am also like a life coach for youth. I work at an apartment complex in Baltimore City. The youth who come into the complex are between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. A lot of them either don't have family support, they aged out of foster care, some of them were homeless, some moved in from shelters. And they come in and it's really just their own apartment. It's their first apartment, but they have me there as a coach to connect them with resources, help them identify a vision, help us come up with a vision. If they, need help getting a job or their resume or all of those things, every woman, whatever they need.
Because that is truly amazing. Like when you think about your Damascus Road travel, like I know back then you would have never thought you was gonna be where you are now. Like,
Absolutely.
And you went through that winding road just to get to. But the important thing I want you to take away from this conversation, and I hope that you already know that, is that you tapped into self-love.
Yes.
Because God is love. Yes. So if you love yourself, if you love God, you love yourself. So you tapped into that self-love, which brought the breathe, and you was able to accomplish all those, which produced this great book here, which prepared you for where you are now, and the mother and the friend and the sister and the auntie and everything that you are now,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
that is just great, Like from this point on, I can never see you having a bad day. So I am not the one that you want to call if you're having a bad day, because I'm gonna be like, no, I don't think so. I don't agree. Not having a bad day, you're not.
Yeah, heard me say I'm a mother of three men, right?
Girl,
3 young men, 3 young black men.
Girl. Ooh. Yes.
But yes, it's been a good journey.
Well, that's
I'm
great.
Really grateful to meet you, though.
Oh, I'm just on the receiving end now. I'm on the receiving end, and I'm just grateful for just being, just being obedient. Because there has been time when I have not been obedient.
Yes.
But right now, I am walking in obedience.
Oh, good.
Okay? I am.
Good.
Right?
Good.
And we're going to pray that I stay there.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. Mama queen. So, this has been great.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you decided to come on the show. I'm telling you, when you open that trunk, I was like, well, who book is that? Oh, that's mine. Yeah, what? Girl, bye.
I have a lot of, so it's like some of it's on my social media, but yes, I've spoken for the National Council of Negro Women. I've spoken at Morgan State University, Kennedy Krieger Institute. So like I've had workshops and poured into people. Like I said, I wrote this book. I definitely have another book in mind. I contributed to another book where I talked about some of the abuse and like overcoming that, an anthology. So I love speaking. I love talking, but more than anything, I love helping people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because I felt alone, you
Mhm.
know. But once we start talking,
Mhm.
we're able, and we share a story, and we let go
Right.
of the shame or
Mhm.
the fear or the insecurity,
Mhm.
because you had to open your mouth, you told your story, and then I was like, I have a similar story.
Yeah.
And then we were just able to go back and forth like we did
Right.
tonight.
Right.
And so I just encourage people to just continue to talk, tell your story. It's healing.
It is very much so. And I want you to continue doing that. I want you to not have no boundaries, Kamesha, and not
Yes,
break up the
ma'am.
people's stuff. Okay.
Child,
All right.
I could be a little clumsy
Okay.
sometimes. A lot of times.
The leprechaun got you too, huh?
Mhm.
So I want you to keep that same fire. Even when it starts dwindling away, I want you to say these things. Go back to your affirmations.
Mhm.
You know, affirmations were something that one of my very good friends taught me.
Mhm.
She was like, because I used to let those insecurities
Mhm.
predict who I was.
Mhm.
And when I went through a really bad situation, ultimately I called off my wedding. Okay, yeah, and I went crazy. And and she did it. You know, I would be like, I feel like I'm not good enough, and I'm this and I'm that, and all the opposite of the things that what God wants us to say
Right.
about ourselves. And
Right.
so she just stopped me. And then, like every day after I would pray,
Mhm.
she told me to write. There is literally, and I learned this just a few years ago, any insecurity or negative thought that you have about yourself, there is a scripture in the Bible that contradicts it.
Mhm.
And so that's what I would do. And she told me to
Mhm.
write it down, right? And put it in my pocket.
Mm.
So when I would be going about my day and the little voices,
I
I'm
like
more
it.
than a conqueror, and I would
I like it.
puff myself up. I wouldn't wait for somebody else to puff me up. I would puff myself up. So I'm telling you that I need
Absolutely.
you to get back to those affirmations. And they don't have to be a lot, just, push your book, not ride around with it in your trunk and nobody knows it's back there. And if anybody out there wants to buy the book, the information will be on my social media platforms and my YouTube channel.
Mhm. And another tip for affirmations, because I still use my affirmations.
Mhm.
A lot of times I sleep with affirmations playing. But another thing that I do, so because I could be real extra with some stuff, like, because for me it's a fight for my life.
Right.
But I would put
Amen.
my affirmations on my mirror.
Mhm.
I have an affirmation with lipstick on
On
my
my
mirror, my
desk,
bathroom,
the
yes,
lamp.
on my computer.
Mhm.
And another big one that I used to do is I used to make whatever affirmation I needed that time to be my password. So every time I logged into my computer, I was affirming whatever I needed at that time.
Oh, that's good.
So it was just different ways that I would use. I love the pocket. I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
But it was different
walk
ways I
around
would
with
use to
Post-its
keep
in
it
my pocket.
kind of coming. And like I said, I listen to them while I sleep. But you're absolutely right.
Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we had an amazing time. And
We
thank
did.
you for telling your story, because I think this was my month to show people that, everybody's not the Beyonce. Everybody's not, all these famous people. They're real women living real lives, having real struggles to get to wherever their purpose is. And that's what I wanted to convey this month when it comes to Women's History Month. Yes. So thank you again, Sweet Pea.
You're welcome.
So you guys, this brings us to an end of our time together. But for next week, we have something fun planned for you guys. We're going to bring a variety of people in here, ladies.
Nice.
And we're going to have like a little chat and chew. Basically, we're just going to have a little chat and chew. We're going to do a little girl talk. So I look forward to seeing you guys. I want to give honor to God for this opportunity, this platform for me to fulfill my purpose. I want to thank my production team. I wouldn't be here without them because they keep it all running. And I want to also thank my sister, Ms.Kecia, for coming on tonight, telling her story, because, it takes a lot to tell your story, especially to the internet, because you don't know who gonna see it. And then you be walking in CVS like, that's that girl I saw on that podcast. Because we're going to be big, girl. Don't worry about it. In my head, we already big.
I know that's right.
But again, as always, big ups to my following. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all sharing. But most of all, what I need y'all to do, because I have a goal by the 31st of March, I want to have 150 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So please, ma'am, and please, sir, tell your brother, cousin, sister, aunt, uncle, nephew, mother, father, grandma, next door neighbor, your co-worker. Tell them about my podcast. Maybe they'll get something out of it. You never know what somebody is dealing with, and they just need a little bit of encouragement. And tell them to come on and chew with us and to subscribe to my YouTube. So on that note, as always, good night, God bless, and